Hey Leo, welcome to your weekly forecast for March 28th through April 1st. We do have a new moon in Aries happening April 1st, new lunar year, new moon. It's a great time for new beginnings and clean slate energy. We're going to connect and see what messages are coming up for Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Keep in mind, this is a general reading. Not every single message is going to resonate. So take what does, leave what doesn't. And the first card coming up here for Leo is the Temperance Card. This is a major arcana card. So those of you who watch my readings, you have heard me say that the major arcana cards come up anytime we're coming into a new chapter, anytime we're coming into this defining moment in our life. So major arcana energy is going to be around for a while. Even though I'm setting the intention for a period of 7 days, whatever is happening in the next 7 days for Leo is energy that will be around for a while. The Temperance card is a card that comes up a lot of the times when we're feeling called to step onto a certain path. We're feeling called to make a change in our life and go in a new direction. We may feel that we're answering a calling or we're stepping onto life path. It can also be the divine working through you. You might have been called to service in some way in somebody's life recently. And this might become apparent to you this week, Leo. Okay? Some of you are too young to remember, but there was a show called Quantum Leap, which I absolutely love. And it was the scientist who got sucked into this time travel mistake, and he was like morphing into people's bodies. Like his brain, his soul, his spirit was going into a person's body, and he was there to help that person through some kind of catastrophe or disaster. He was there to like right wrongs that had occurred in history and rescue people in certain situations. And then his job would be done, mission done, and then he would leap into some other time in somebody else's life. And so some of us are kind of quantum leapers. We're not going into anybody's body like in the TV show, but we may be showing up in somebody's life for a specific reason. Or spirit may be bringing somebody to us, and they're bringing this person to us for a specific reason. Something came up in the reading for Taurus last week. So if you have a Taurus placement, I feel this is especially true for you. Okay, if you have a Taurus placement. Some of you are realizing that you've been put in a certain place or in a person's life because you're meant to be of help. Now, sometimes we might get this confused and think that it's meant to be a romantic relationship. Not always. Not always. So this is something that you might want to meditate about and pray about. But some of you Leos are realizing that, hey, I'm going to make a difference here in this person's life, or I'm going to make a difference in this situation. You're realizing that spirit is working through you. God, universe is using you for a noble purpose. The next card that's coming up here for Leo is the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is a card that comes up when we're getting away from drama. We're getting away from chaos. There may even be an opportunity coming up for you to travel or to take some kind of a trip. And some of you have heard me say this in previous readings that I've put on YouTube. In my experience, it has happened to me time and time again when I have pulled the Six of Swords for myself, or I've pulled it for any of my long-term clients. I see Six of Swords come up a lot of the times when there may be an impromptu trip or travel, and that impromptu trip turns into a sudden, unexpected, unplanned relocation, right? And some of you might say, oh yeah, I'm planning a trip and I'm thinking of relocating, but it wouldn't be for another couple of years. I'm just going there because I want to get a feel for it. I just want to see, I'm just gathering information. Don't be surprised if you go out there and then boom, all of a sudden things line up and you're relocating. It's happened to me. It's happened to people that I read for over the years. Sometimes the Six of Swords comes up in my readings when there's a sudden unexpected relocation. Now, the whales or the orcas are really jumping out at me, and the orcas for me are really symbolic of psychic ability, energy healing, and just deep, deep healing on like a deep spiritual level. So some of you may be doing some kind of soul retrieval or some kind of healing. Some of you may be doing some deep release, even though I know it's not a full moon cycle, it's a new moon cycle. But for some of you, as you're calling in this new energy, there may also be a release occurring. But the fact that the orcas are jumping out at me makes me feel like it would be a release that felt really good. It wouldn't be like an ugly crying, overwhelmed, falling apart, feeling sick kind of release. It would be a release that felt very refreshing for those of you who are experiencing release in this week. The next card that's coming up here for Leo is the Prince of Swords. Now, this makes sense to have come up along with the Six of Swords, because there's an element with the Prince of Swords or Page of Swords with traveling and gathering information. So some of you maybe are taking a trip because you're wanting to get a feel for the land. You're wanting to get a feel for, how things are out that way, or what properties might be going for, or what the job market might be like, or what the people might be like. There might be something coming up here where you are feeling moved to gather information. And like I said, for some of you, don't be surprised if that does turn into a sudden, unexpected relocation. The Page of Swords can also be not only the gathering of information, but you may find yourself in situations this week where your throat chakra is clearing and unblocking, and Spirit is putting you in situations in which you're being pushed to speak up. You're being pushed to speak up and to speak your truth, to not hold back. Some of you may be finding that you are delivering a message to a person, because we have the Temperance card here, and then we have the Page of Swords. Some of you are serving as a messenger in a person's life. You're telling them something they need to hear, or you're telling them something that is really waking them up or blowing their mind. I feel this element with the Temperance card and the Page of Swords. So some of you are realizing you have some wisdom to impart. Some of you may be receiving a message, but I feel here the vibe that I'm getting from these cards is some of you are realizing that somebody is headed towards a dangerous path, and you're delivering a message to them. Now, whether or not they change course is completely and totally up to them. Some of you Leos have been praying to be of service. Some of you are hearing that you're going to be a messenger in somebody's life, or Spirit is using you to help somebody, and you're so ready for it. You're like, oh my God, yes, I've been wanting this, right? You're so excited about it. But it's not always easy to be a messenger. It's not always easy to be placed in somebody's life to help them, because what you need to remind yourself, Leo, is even though God and universe may be working through you to help somebody, that person has free will. And that person has the right to take the advice, take the help, or to reject it. And they have the right to hear what you're saying and let it go through one ear and out the other. They have the right to do that. We cannot override their free will. All you can do is be that channel. All you can do is create and hold that space. All you can do is deliver that message. But at the end of the day, whatever the other person does, we have to accept that. So don't get overly involved. And I know that can be difficult when you see somebody speeding towards a cliff and you know they're going to go flying off that cliff and it's going to end in disaster. All you can do is say, hey, there's a cliff ahead. You don't have to do that. Slow down. Let's talk about this. Let's work this through. There's solutions. All you can do is be a voice of reason, or impart a message, or give some wisdom, or give some comfort. But if that person has it in their mind that they're going to go off the cliff, they're going to go off the cliff. That's not your failure. It's not a failure on your part. So keep this in mind, especially those of you who are getting into like spiritual healing work or trying to be a spiritual advisor. Each person makes their own decision. We can be a support, we can be a help, we can be a resource, but each person makes their own decision, and you have to keep this in mind. The next card that's coming up for Leo is the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is a card that can come up when we need to protect our boundaries and our resources. Sometimes I see Four of Pentacles come in before a windfall of money, or before a time that you might have a lot of money coming in. Maybe you've been working really hard, and so you've been getting a lot of work, you've been putting in a lot of hours, so you're having a big paycheck come in, or you're getting bonuses, or if you're self-employed, there's been a lot of business, or maybe you're receiving some kind of a settlement or an inheritance, or maybe you're getting lucky with a scratcher ticket, or whatever it might be. There might be this burst of money coming your way. And so sometimes I see Four of Pentacles come up to say, when this money comes in, hold on to it because you're going to need it. You're going to need some time to rest. You're going to need some time to yourself. You might decide that you want to take some time off, or work a little bit less, to work on projects or ideas, or on self-discovery or healing. And if you have that nice little stash of money, you will be able to do that. So sometimes it can tell us to not be overly generous or overly spending on some financial blessing coming in, to try to hold on to as much of it as we can. Four of Pentacles can also come up when we're protecting our physical space. I know this is not a love reading, because I do love reading separate on my channel, but I do see Four of Pentacles come up from time to time when somebody is entering a period of deliberate celibacy, deliberate abstinence. I know sometimes people feel like they get into a rut and they're not physically intimate with anybody because they feel like they're in a rut, not because they deliberately decided not to. But Four of Pentacles for me is you're making a deliberate decision, some of you, where you're like, I just want to clear energy. I just want to claim my body back. I'm just into working on myself right now. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to be intimate with anybody. And so some of you may be deciding that you're taking a break from dating, or you may be telling a significant other that you're already with and already committed. You might say, hey, look, I'm sorry. I know this might be difficult, but I just need some time. I don't know how long I'm going to feel this way, but I just need some time. Some of you may be claiming back your body and just being of the mindset of like clearing energy or working on yourself or healing. Some of you may be processing childhood traumas as well. I do feel, and this is such a random message, so it's not going to be for every single one of you Leos, but I do feel some of you Leos, maybe you grew up in a really rough environment. Maybe growing up, your household was really rough, and maybe your parents or guardians were really like extreme with physical discipline. Maybe they were like really like, old school and, bust out the switch, bust out the belt. Or maybe you grew up in a rough neighborhood and you got in a lot of fights. When I was younger, they would say jumped, right? Oh, somebody got jumped at school, you got jumped, or maybe some of you were doing things in gangs or things when you were younger. I feel some of you Leos have taken like really significant hits. like you have had some pretty bad physical beatings in your life, or physical injuries or traumas. And so I feel a lot of you Leos who have had that experience, you're claiming your body back and you're releasing it. A lot of you held on to it in your muscle memory, and I feel like you're releasing it. You're letting go of it. You're releasing it from the muscle memory, and you're processing the emotions that you didn't have a chance to process when it was happening. And so I feel like, again, there's this release. And a lot of you, you'll realize that, like, if you've had muscle twitches or muscle aches or muscle tensions, a lot of this is going to be improving over time for you as you're having that release. You might want to check out your moon sign and rising sign videos. Some weeks your moon sign or rising sign might resonate more than your sun sign. You may need a private reading, which I'm more than happy to do for you. If you go to calendly.com/amethystangelite, you can schedule a private reading with me there. Love readings are linked in the description. And don't forget, guys, by popular demand, every single day I've been posting a card of the day, a daily message. So check those out as well. I thank you all for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I'm wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful day ahead, or a week ahead, I should say. Take care and be well.